Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Vincent Minotti and we are going to be working on my C5 Corvette today. We are installing my Trac spec roll cage. It's a 4-point roll cage, so in the back of the car there will be this pipe and this pipe will be the two supports. We'll end up cutting out the floor most likely somewhere around this area and somewhere around that area. Be a little bit farther up, I don't completely know yet until we get this center bar in. There will be an X brace that goes in the center of this, which provides a lot more rigidity to the entire roll cage. When we first went to go and put this roll cage in, and we just mocked it up inside the car sitting right here, the little problem is that you end up wanting to put it right in front of the door sill right here in the jamb. So where this fiberglass comes up like this and it's a curve, we were thinking, oh yeah, you know, put it right here because we didn't want to cut out any of the structure of the car. But then we go, okay, you can fit a seat here like that and you could put it right there, and then these poles would be moved forward a little bit. But the problem is that now it's going to be leaned back and underneath, and barely underneath your roll bar. So what you end up having to do is there's a section inside the car here that is all blocked off. You can cut that out and it opens up the entire thing. It makes it so this tucks back and I can still have a passenger seat here. I am worried about there being a passenger in this car because I want to go take this car on little like road trips, not super far, but like 2 hours in a car is a long time when you're hunched over in a passenger seat. So in doing this, we're thinking, let's get it as close as back as we can to this back panel that sits back here. And so what we're having to do is I cut this out yesterday and we slid in the half of the roll cage. But the problem is on the other side, it's getting caught up right in this little section on this part, and then a little bit, it'll probably get caught up on the fiberglass. So I'm going to cut out this portion down, this little strut bar that I left, pinch weld, and then I'll be doing the same exact thing on this side. But what we're doing is we took some tape and I'm just gonna take a little layer off of there, and then my dad's gonna come out here, we're gonna fit it and see if it ends up lining up how I want it to line up. If it doesn't, then we can take a little bit more off of there, and then I'll take a little bit more off the other side just so both sides match perfectly and it doesn't look wonky. And then hopefully we'll be at the point where we can start welding on the feet pads onto the roll cage, and then welding the entire roll cage onto the car. So a big problem is you gotta change out this wheel because the wheel's not big enough to be able to get into this little section down here. So when you're cutting, this big portion right here is stopping the inside of the wheel. It's stopping the inside of the wheel from moving. So trying to cut this out is kind of a pain. But we're getting down there to the bottom where we're almost there. It'll come out in a second, but I just need a little bit of a bigger wheel so it doesn't mess up my grinder. Alright, so we finished on this side. Kind of cleaned this up a little bit. I'm going to definitely clean up the rest of this with probably a little die grinder, and then cleaned up all this so it's a pretty straight line with all the fiberglass. I'll clean up this with sandpaper once that's done, but a lot of this will all be covered with a plastic piece because I'm going to put the plastics back in here. This isn't meant to be a completely stripped out race car. It's meant to be a race car and to compete, but it's also, I want it to be a decently show-worthy car. To be able to go out and, you know, guys will look at it and be like, oh yeah, some kid just didn't hack up this car, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna finish up this other side and see if I can just graze it a little bit and make it look a little bit better than what it is with the grind. But we can throw the cage in here and see if it fits, and then if it does, then that's great. We'll just have to figure out a way to weld it in, and I'll get the grinder back there to clean up all the paint off the frame so then we can get a nice clean weld. So now that I'm done grinding, I'm waiting for the garage to air out a little bit. We can go over what I got to cut out. So on this side, I kind of trimmed the interior piece a little bit farther, and then trimmed the metal as well a little bit farther as well. On this side, I feel like it'll give us a little bit better access, especially if I can pull this all the way back up to here, which I'm thinking about doing on the other side as well. It'll give us enough room to be able to probably weld that plate all the way around instead of having to take this panel off, and have easy access to it if something ever did happen. And then on this side, we didn't go as far, you can see here, and then we also didn't taper this down. So I feel like that's what I'm gonna do next. Most likely I'll end up doing this part tomorrow, but for right now I do just wanna see if it's going to end up fitting in. So hopefully this does end up fitting in how I want it to fit in, because that would be a very nice thing to have done and have fitted in. This will go back in this corner, like this. Looks like we're still getting caught up. So this side, that side most definitely won't fit in. Okay, so I want it to be a nice flush fit. Obviously it's not fitting in, so we're gonna have to end up cutting this more. So I'm gonna shave this portion a little bit more. So it's not fitting in, just barely. All this will clear if you look at it like this. Just the bottom is hitting, and I am trying to lift it over, but it won't go. So if there was more room up here, it would all fit in, but all I gotta do is just cut this little area out. I'll clean up the bottom of this a little bit more, and then it should slide right in and then fit. So I took that little portion out and it slid right in. This fits absolutely perfect, right up in the center of where it needs to be up here. And then what I'm doing now is I'm basically just taking a little chisel and this little tool, and I'm taking all the rubber and plaster that they put in here from factory and just getting that out. So then this will all be clean. I'll clean all this up with some sandpaper, and then I'm going to leave this glue down here because that's giving structure to the floor, this piece and the frame. So I'm not going to worry about that. And then all this whole edge right here that's sticking up that you can see is all going to be taken down with a 7-inch pad that I have. And then I'm going to finish up all this and do finish work. And then I'm going to do the exact same to that side. I don't think I'm going to cut back that side as much as I did with this to be able to fit this in. What I'm probably going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit more off the top of here, maybe make like a little thing just like that, and then do the same on that side so that this will slip in a little bit easier and a little bit faster. So we're gonna end up having to take this back out, and then there's these pads that are right here. This is the one for this side on the driver side. This is gonna go in there, and since this is a little bit thinner, it's 1/4 inch steel for the frame. This is going to add on. I'll clean this up with a piece of sandpaper. And I have another flat plate that's sitting back here that doesn't have any curve to it. And that is going to be what sits down in the back there and what this pipe will get welded to. Then on the back of this, go around backside, they etched out laser etched / CNC'd marks for where these are supposed to set up to, so it makes it super easy. And then they also did this great thing that when you get the whole front portion of the roll cage, they also added in all the CNC marks for the front roll cage. So most likely all of this will be getting taken out anyways to be able to put the roll cage through the front of here. So with that, the roll cage, or the first portion of the roll cage, is now taken out of the car. We are going to be putting it back in to be able to put the rear section of it on. We did mock everything up, so the next step will be to cut out the floor and to put the 2 strut bars and the X in and tack it all up, so then we can pop it back out in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in part 2